Hey guys, what's happening? Today we're going to take our sine graph or our cosine graph and we're going to translate it and reflect it. So remember, translate it is like slide it to the right or slide it to the left or slide it up, slide it down, okay? And reflect means to flip it upside down, okay? So translate the SL, slide, and reflect the FL, flip, okay? So slide and flip. That's basically what we're going to do. Okay, this works for the sine and for the cosine. Okay, and the two things, a couple things you have to remember first. Remember the A is the period, right? Okay, so this is our period. You should know that. Okay, what is the B? Sorry, did I say the period is A? What a way to start a video. Sorry about that. That was my fault. A is not the period. What is A? A is the amplitude. Okay, amplitude, or the height, really. Amplitude. Okay, B is the period. That makes more sense. Okay, and let's see, the H, okay. If it's negative, it's going to shift to the right. And if it's positive, it's going to shift to the left. So this is a right or left, okay. And then the K, remember that shifts it up or down, okay? Up or down. Okie doke. All right, and again, I think the best way to approach this is just to work out some examples. So I'm gonna give you one to start off with. It's not too insane, all right? I promise. Here's my first example. It is y equals 2 times the sine of 4x plus 3. Okay, this one actually is pretty straightforward. Okay, and let's just get into it. First thing I do, I usually just kind of set up my graph. Okay. All right, and I noticed the 2. That's my amplitude, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a 2 up here. Okay, and actually, since I see this 3, I'm actually going to count it. Okay, this is going to be 1, 2, okay, there's my 2, okay, and then down 1, 2, so there's negative 2, okay. There is a B value of 4, okay. Now this 3 is not in parentheses with the X, so this 3 is my K value, so that 3 makes my graph shift up, okay. So my B is still 4. So what I'm going to do really quick is determine my period, okay? The B doesn't really determine your period. It helps with the period. So the period is going to be, it was 2 pi divided by the absolute value of B, so 2 pi divided by 4, okay, which simplifies to pi over 2. So there's my period, pi over 2. Okie doke. All right. And there's a little bit of planning involved when you do this, okay? Notice I counted instead of just putting a 2 there, because I know that this is my K value, which means I'm going to shift it up, okay? I'm going to shift this guy up 3. So from here, I'm going to shift up 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my highest point, the maximum point, is going to be up to 5. And then down here, shift up 3. So 1, 2, 3. So on 1. So my lowest point is going to be on 1. Okay, a y value of 1. All right, so now my period is pi over 2. Okay, there is no shift to the right or to the left. Okay, so my sine wave, if you remember, my sine wave is going to look just like this. Okay, my sine wave is going to look just like this. It starts at 0. Okay, does it go all the way to 2 pi? No, because the period is not 2 pi. The period in this case was pi over 2. Okay, so if I'm starting at 0 and the period's pi over 2, where's it going to end? It's going to end at pi over 2. Okay, so my period is going to go from 0 to pi over 2. So I'll just go ahead and put a pi over 2 right here. Okay. All right, and then let's look at the sine wave one more time. If you look at this, notice that I always chop it up into 4 sections, okay? So start, and then I chop it up into fourths, into quarters, okay? So it's in 4 pieces. The reason why is because we have our maximum point here, okay? Then our center point, then our minimum point, then back to the start of that cycle, okay? So that's what I'm going to do every time I'm graphing these. I'm going to break it up into 4 sections, okay? So cut it in half. So here's pi over 2. What's this going to be? That's right, pi over 4. Okay, cut that in half. What's that? Okay, pi over 8. Okay, there's 1 pi over 8, 2 pi over 8, 3 pi over 8. Okay, 3 pi over 8. So I'm ready to go, okay? The thing is, I've shifted up 3, so I'm not starting here anymore, right? I'm shifting up 3, so up 1, 2, 3. Here's my starting point right there. I'm starting on 3, okay? And then, since I broke it up into 4 pieces, now I know that here is my maximum point at 5, okay? Then here's my center point, so it goes back down to here, okay? And then it goes to my lowest point right here, and then it goes back up to my starting point right there. Okay, and so there's my sine wave. Okay, so go ahead and just sketch that. Basically that, okay, and you can just put a little arrow there and put a little arrow there if you want to do that, okay, to let you know it continues. Okay. All right, so that one was a pretty straightforward one. Let's do one with a shift, a horizontal shift, okay? All right, and then we'll do one with a horizontal shift and a reflection, okay? So here we go. We have y equals 5 times the cosine of 2, and then we have times x minus 3 pi. Okay. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, so first things first, I usually kind of just sketch this out a little bit. All right. I know that my amplitude is 5, so I'll go ahead and put a 5 here, and I'll put a negative 5 down here. Why didn't I count it out this time? Okay, you notice I don't have a k value, so I know it's not going to shift up or down. So if there's no k value, you're safe just putting the maximum point and the minimum point. Okay, all right, and now let's check out what my period is. Okay, my period is going to be 2 pi divided by b, which is 2, so that simplifies to pi. So my period is pi. That means I get one complete cosine wave in the space of 1 pi, okay? Now, let's look at here. I have a shift of 3 pi, okay? 3 pi to the right. So that means what I'm going to do is shift. Normally I would start here, right? My cosine, if you look at my cosine graph, looks like this, okay? Looks like that. It starts here and then goes down here and up to here, okay? When x is 0, y is 1, okay? But on this graph, okay, if there wasn't a horizontal shift, when x is 0, y would be 5. It would start up here, dip down, come back up to here, but it's shifted, okay? 3 pi, right? We're going to go 3 pi to the right. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with 3 pi. I'm just going to put a 3 pi right here, okay? All right, now, that's where I'm starting, okay? I'm starting at 3 pi, okay? But because my period is pi, to get my end point, I have to go 3 pi plus the period, which is pi, and that equals 4 pi. So that's where I'm going to end. I'm going to end at 4 pi. Now, this is a little wonky. If I just put 4 pi right here, that doesn't really... So from here to here is 3 full pi's, and then from here all the way to here is just 1 more pi. That doesn't really look very nice, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try to make it look nicer, okay? All right. So I can count by pi's. So here's 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, okay? So here's my 3 pi, here's my 4 pi. But the thing is, this is where it gets a little wonky, okay, is that I'm supposed to break this up into 4 sections. Remember how every time I do these problems, I break them up into 4 sections? So now I'm going to break this guy up into 4 sections. It's getting really crowded, isn't it? Okay, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and make it look not very nice, okay? There's a lot of different ways you could do this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and put 3 pi right here, 3 pi, and I'm gonna put 4 pi right here. I know this does not, it's not drawn to scale, okay? But I'm gonna go ahead and break it up, okay? All right, into those 4 pieces, okay? All right, and if you absolutely just are shutting down and can't do this, then you know the starting point is here. Okay, then it crosses down to here, then down to here, then up through here and back up to here. But I'd really like you guys to label this, okay? So how can I get the halfway point between here and here, okay? Well, the easiest way to do that is just take the average, okay? Halfway is the average, basically. So add these together. 3 and 4 is 7 pi, and cut it in half. So you get 7 pi over 2, okay? Do the same thing here, okay? Well, we need common denominators, okay? So isn't this 6 pi over 2? Okay, 6 pi over 2 and 7 pi over 2. All right, 6 and 7 is 13 pi over 2. Then cut that in half. We're going to have 13 pi, 13 pi over 4. Okay. So this is a really messy one. This is 8 pi over 2 plus 7 pi over 2 is 15 pi over 2. Cut it in half is 15 pi over 4. 15 pi over 4. And now we can draw this, okay? Now I'm not trying to teach you anything new with adding fractions, okay? So if you're stuck on that, I'm going kind of fast because that's not really what I'm trying to teach you here, how to add fractions, okay? If you're stuck there, just come to office hours, okay? And there's gonna be my cosine graph right there. All right, let's try to do one more. All right, let's see if we can do one more example. Y equals -2 times the sine of 2/3 times x minus pi over 2. All right, notice this negative sign, that's going to give me a reflection, okay? So at the start, if it's negative, so if amplitude is negative, okay, flip it. All right, easiest way to do it. If the amplitude is negative, then flip it, okay? All right, and here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and pause it so I'm not rushing, and I'll be right back.